Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
300,000 people from frontline workplaces will be able to get vaccinated outside of their age cohort.
Teachers, first responders, grocery store employees. Vaccinations begin next month for BC's frontline workers. Also,
we will have about a quarter of our population vaccinated by the end of next month.
Ahead of schedule, an accelerated timeline for age-based COVID-19 vaccinations. And
we got the garlic, syr, we got samanu.
it's a Persian New Year tradition, the significance and creating the perfect have-seen table.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. We now know which essential workers in BC will be prioritized to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yes, from teachers to grocery store staff, a large swath of industries will be fast-tracked to receive the shot next month. Our Tanya Fletcher is here live. Tanya, how many frontline workers are we talking about here?
300,000 will be able to get vaccinated ahead of their age cohort with the next round of AstraZeneca doses. Let's break down which sectors of essential workers we're talking about. Take a look here. So we've got K-12 educational workers, childcare staff, first responders such as police, firefighters, and paramedics, grocery store workers, wholesale and warehouse staff, postal workers. As well, we've got workers in manufacturing, bylaw officers, staff at correctional facilities, cross-border transport workers, basically truckers, quarantine officers, and staff in shared housing. Now, these vaccinations will be done in clinics, mobile clinics, and this is now when pharmacies will also be used. And to line up appointments, Dr. Bonnie Henry says each health authority will connect with each industry.
Please do not call into our age-based hotlines. Those are specific for those clinics. So we will be reaching out to you, and it is, for the most part, it'll start early in April. So over the next few weeks, we'll be reaching out and coming up with a plan across the province for addressing each of these areas.
So K-12 education staff make up the biggest chunk of those frontline workers. Upwards of 100,000 teachers and other staff are now on deck to get their first shot in April. The president of the BC Teachers Federation is relieved to learn that they are now being prioritized.
I think that the rollout can happen very quickly, and if all teachers can be vaccinated within the same time frame, then certainly we would support teachers in the areas that are hardest hit, in the communities where there's the largest number of community transmissions. It would make sense to prioritize them first.
The BC Association of Police Chiefs is also pleased to be included. Here's part of their statement they put out today. It says police officers in the field are unable to eliminate the risk of exposure because they can't always practice physical distancing due to the nature of their work. And also being bumped into the next timeline, we should add, is clinically extremely vulnerable people. That includes those undergoing cancer treatments or organ transplants. About 150,000 of those people, they should be eligible this month or next.
Right, so good news for those folks and for the frontline workers. And Tanya, the province is also accelerating the separate age-based rollout?
Yes, the next age cohort waiting in the wings has been sped up to start booking this Saturday. So that's the age 75 to 79 age group, plus indigenous peoples 55 and over. Now let's fast forward a couple of phases for an update on when actual doses will go into arms. So take a look in a moment. You can pinpoint your age to find out which month you'll be in. So first of all, you can take a look here. Basically, those aged 65 to 79 should get their first shot in April. Those 60 to 64 will be in either late April or early May. Next year, you can see that those between the ages of 45 and 59 will get their first jab in May. Those 40 to 44 will likely be in late May or early June. And finally, those aged 35 to 39 can expect dose 1 in late May or early June. And for the youngest, between the ages of 18 and 34, they'll line up sometime in June as well. So bottom line here, we're on track to vaccinate every eligible British Columbian who wants a shot by Canada Day. Anita, Mike?
All right, Tanya Fletcher with the live update tonight. Thanks very much. Well, the encouraging news about vaccines comes with an ever-growing grain of salt tonight. After a slight dip, BC's COVID-19 case numbers are once again trending in the wrong direction, and another 8 people have died from the virus. BC's rolling case average is now at its highest since January 12th, and hospitalizations are up again, now at a 32% increase in a month.
Well, after a year of visits behind windows and plexiglass, family members will be able to get a bit closer to loved ones in long-term care homes.
Documents obtained by CBC News show that Vancouver Coastal Health is planning to introduce relaxed rules.
As John Hernandez reports, the list includes short outings and maybe even hugs.
It's been pretty heartbreaking, very challenging.
It's been a long year for Mary Ellen McSween. Her 97-year-old mother, Evelyn, lives inside North Vancouver's Lynn Valley Care Centre, the site of one of BC's first COVID-19 outbreaks.
Not being able to come and go freely and take my mom out or to see her. So yeah, it's been a really challenging year.
But the light at the end of the long tunnel has been getting brighter. McSween has since been deemed an essential visitor for her mom. Both of them have been vaccinated, and soon more rules inside these care homes could ease up. Documents obtained by CBC News show that Vancouver Coastal Health is urging care homes to adopt revised guidelines for visitors. The list includes unsupervised visits in private rooms, as well as brief physical contact. Visits will be limited to one designated person who can also take their loved ones on short outings and even bring in pets and gifts. The changes come amid sweeping vaccinations in care homes province-wide.
Minister Dix and I have been looking at details of how we can improve quality of life in long-term care and increase our visitation in long-term care now that we have so many people protected there. So that will happen sooner rather than later.
Vancouver Coastal Health deferred commenting to the Ministry of Health. All the government is saying for now is a formal announcement is coming soon.
We're going to be making changes in this month of March.
But for family members like McSween, something as simple as a walk with her mom could be the cure to many months of angst.
Mom loves the outdoors. She had a beautiful garden when we were kids and loves the sun, and I think it just would feel more normal.
A normal that's inching closer towards reality day by day. John Hernandez, CBC News, Vancouver.
Back to vaccinations now, and Canada's overall COVID vaccination program is in line for a major boost.
Yes, the White House has confirmed the United States is working on a plan to loan Canada 1.5 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine.
As Karina Roman reports tonight, the plan would also see Mexico get as many as 2.5 million doses.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says their first priority remains vaccinating Americans. But
the pandemic knows no borders, and ensuring our neighbors can contain the virus is a mission-critical to ending the pandemic.
The U.S. has not approved the AstraZeneca vaccine yet, and millions of doses are sitting idly in manufacturing facilities there.
And balancing the need to let the approval process play out of the AstraZeneca vaccine as it's taking place in the U.S. with the importance of helping stop the spread in other countries, we are assessing how we can loan doses.
So the plan would send 1.5 million doses to Canada and 2.5 million doses to Mexico. This is out of what Psaki described as 7 million releasable doses.
As we await FDA approval here in the U.S., many countries, as you know, have already requested, have already approved AstraZeneca and also have requested our doses from the United States. That includes Canada and Mexico, but is certainly not limited to Canada and Mexico.
The deal is not yet finalized, but Canada's Procurement Minister Anita Bathe says the doses could arrive by the end of this month.
And in terms of the arrangement, what we are contemplating is that we will receive these 1.5 million doses now, and that when we receive our 20 million doses of AstraZeneca in Q2 and Q3, we will then provide 1.5 million back to the United States in a sort of swap transaction.
The plan is good news for accelerating vaccination rollout in Canada.
I understand they got to get their people done first. I'd be no different, but thank you. Bring it on. If we have to go down there and pick them up, I'll drive down there in my pickup and pick them up if we have to.
And this might not be the last deal with the Americans. Jen Psaki says that the U.S. expects to have surplus Pfizer and Moderna doses as well, and they are open to further requests. Karina Roman, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, a Canadian nurse living in Washington state says she's been unable to work for 2 months because her quarantine exemption has been taken away.
Not only is it frustrating for her, but as Liam Britton tells us tonight, it's also hurting the short-staffed hospital she's employed by in BC's interior.
Christina Papp has been crossing the border regularly into BC as an essential worker. For most of the pandemic, there have been no issues.
I live in Washington State and work at Oliver Hospital on acute care.
But then in January, a border guard asked her a question she said she had never gotten before. Will you be caring for people 65 years and older?
I said, yes, I definitely do, because we look after people from 20 up to 100 years old.
Well, that answer changed everything. She could no longer bypass the 14-day quarantine rule. Essential workers must in fact quarantine if they care for people over 65.
I need a special exemption letter which would state that I don't need to quarantine if I cross the border.
It's a small rural hospital that is short-staffed for nurses right now because, at least partly because of COVID. Some nurses have contracted COVID. Some are working to vaccinate people. Some are working to test people.
Papp has already gotten her first COVID vaccine, and Canning says she's careful about PPE use, and the hospital won't assign her to work with COVID patients.
They've done their due diligence. You know, this is, I think, a good case where an exemption should be granted.
The Public Health Agency of Canada wouldn't comment on Papp's case, but says it is looking into the matter. A statement from the agency says exemptions can be granted, but they are rare. The bar for a person or class of persons seeking to qualify for this exemption is very high. Papp is losing hope, unable to understand why for almost a year she was able to cross into BC from Washington without issue.
Discretion is very significant in terms of this issue for CBSA officers. They're given a great deal of discretion to make interpretations.
Immigration lawyer Henry Chang says disconnects between agencies, changing rules, and the way officers implement rules can lead to mistakes.
They just say, oh, you're a nurse, you're crossing the border weekly, go ahead. And that's probably what's been happening.
Papp just wants to get back to work.
Just imagine if you were in the hospital and then there's only one nurse or maximum 2 nurses. Are you going to receive the same amount of attention or not receive the proper care?
She says the time required to get her exemption borders on ridiculous. Liam Britton, CBC News, Vancouver.
The homicide team is investigating a burning body that was discovered near a Burnaby playground. At about 2 a.m., firefighters found the body when they were called to a bush and grass fire at Green Tree Village Park off Grand Garden Road. The park is in a busy, family-oriented area near BCIT's central campus. Investigators are still working to confirm the victim's identity.
Investigators believe it's a woman, but due to the circumstances involved with the burning of the body, that has not yet been confirmed.
Anyone with information or anyone who can provide dash cam or CCTV footage of the park overnight is asked to contact IHIT.
Vancouver police have now identified the woman who died after being found shot in a hotel yesterday morning. VPD says 24-year-old Shania Paulson died after someone shot her inside the Arco Hotel, a social housing building on Pender and Abbott. Happened early yesterday. No one has been arrested. Paulson's killing is Vancouver's 3rd homicide of the year. A UBC Okanagan student has been charged with voyeurism. And it's welcome news for the alleged victim, who claims the case almost never made it to prosecution. The male suspect is accused of filming a woman while she was using a co-ed washroom. The alleged victim claims she saw an iPhone recording her under a stall wall. Her name is covered by a publication ban. She told CBC News the responding RCMP officer initially tried to talk her out of pursuing charges. The voyeurism charge was only recommended after a second RCMP officer took over. The suspect is due in court next month.
One person was taken to hospital. 5 others escaped an overnight fire in East Vancouver. It happened at about 1 a.m. near East 1st and Clark Drive. The fire apparently caused by a battery-operated scooter that was charging in a suite. While all tenants are accounted for, one cat remains missing. The building is not salvageable. Johanna Wagstaff is off tonight, and we're joined by Nick Czernkovich. All right, Nick, we had a few days of beautiful sunshine. Today, I think the streets were pretty empty.
Yeah. Convenient Johanna left on today,
right?
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what? We saw some rounds of showers going through the Vancouver area today. Some areas seeing heavier amounts than others, and that's going to continue into the evening hours tonight. And then sort of a change in the weather pattern as we head through the next few days. We've got on and off showers here, which is more of your typical sort of March weather. That's a look at the system as a whole there. Now, it's just the low itself is kind of spinning off the coast. You notice, though, there are some flashes of lightning there being picked up on the lightning detection network. I point that out because we might actually see some thunderstorms in the Vancouver area and actually the lower mainland in general for tomorrow afternoon as the cold front rolls through. Still seeing showers right now across the region. They're starting to break up as we head through the overnight period tonight. Generally speaking, it's going to dry up as we move through tomorrow morning. Again, the risk of a few showers here, but largely speaking, this is not so much a rain event as showers, and it'll continue through the day tomorrow, and then it sort of breaks up into Saturday. By the time we hit Saturday morning, Saturday might actually see a hint of sunshine before we get to Sunday, where more rainfall comes once again. Sitting at 10 degrees right now in Vancouver, off the high today of 12 degrees. Here's a look at your forecast heading through the next 24, 8 for tomorrow morning. It will be windy. Tomorrow we're looking at wind gusts up to about 50, 60 kilometers per hour, high of 11 degrees, and again, the risk of a thunderstorm in there. We'll have more on your wet 5-day forecast coming up in just a bit.
Oh boy, yeah, you're right, Johanna. Hightailed it out of here at the right time.
She picked a good day, didn't she? Yeah.
Okay, Nick, we'll talk to you again shortly. Thanks so much. Okay. Well, in celebration of the Persian New Year, students are giving back to the community with COVID-19 care packages. The School of Islamic Sufism is participating in a global day of charitable action to commemorate International Nowruz Day. Students from MTO Vancouver assembled these tote bags containing hand-sewn masks and non-perishable food items.
I believe we had about 10 or maybe so volunteers helping us to bring them out here today, but I would say overall maybe we've had 30 to 40 people help us around this time. Maybe less, maybe more, kind of all blurs together.
The care packages will be distributed to vulnerable members of the area through their community partnerships.
And one of the most important aspects of celebrating Persian New Year is creating the Hafseen table.
It's when households set up a colorful arrangement using 7 symbolic items.
Our Tina Lovegreen and GP Mendoza spoke with an event designer about those key pieces and what they mean.
Hello, my name is Jala Fatuhi. I am a Vancouver-based event producer and floral artist, and I am talking about the beautiful Nowruz celebration, Persian New Year, and my Hafseen table setting. It represents 7 different items that starts with the letter S, which all symbolize and represent something incredible for you to start your new year. So some of the items are like apples, and Farsi, obviously, Seeb, which represents health and beauty. We got the garlic, Sir, and that represents health and having an immune body. We got the Sanjit, which symbolizes love, and it's a dried fruit from oleander tree. We got Samanu, which is a sweet pudding made from wheat germ, and that symbolizes affluence. We got the sumac. It is a representation of sunrise, the light, the fact that the days are becoming longer and we get to have more brightness throughout our days. We got the sabza that we talked about, which is the sprouts from wheat or lentil. They represent rebirth and regrowth. We got sirke, the vinegar, and that represents age and patience. It's not just an item, and it's not just something for making something pretty, making a table pretty. They're all symbolic, and there's so much more to it than just what you can see. So understanding the history and the story of every element is so beautiful.
Yeah, some powerful symbols there. I'm not a table setting expert by any means, but that's some pretty nice stuff there for sure.
Really great, and great way to celebrate this year.
Absolutely. Okay, just a quick reminder, you can also watch our newscasts live on CBC Gem.
CBC Vancouver is also on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram.
A high-stakes meeting between Chinese and American officials today in Alaska. Just ahead, how the two Michaels are leaving Canada caught in the middle.
Well, thank you for staying with us during our commercial-free live stream. Many active seniors are looking for new skills they can master, and a new organization in New Brunswick is offering that by teaching them woodworking.
The Kodiak Woodworkers Guild is for anyone 55 and up, including those who may feel a bit shy around tools.
I got a call from a friend, and he and another friend were kind of looking at starting a woodworking club, and they asked if I'd be interested, and I said, wow, yeah, absolutely. So we started our discussions in May, and we opened to membership in November. So the response has been wonderful, just even by word of mouth, because we were in the pandemic, we were in orange and red, and so we weren't really doing a lot of promotion, but we then started to promote. But before that, by word of mouth, we had about 40 members, just by word of mouth. Then we had an article in the paper, we got another 15 members, and we're starting to do some presentations and such. So our goal is to have about 150 members.
As a result of isolation, you know, a lot of volunteering work that I've done or my wife has done came to a kind of a standstill because you can't participate in that. So you have to find something that occupies you, that's meaningful. And the opportunity that this presents for a lot of people is much bigger than woodworking. It's very important.
We are an organization that is directed and focused on 55-year-olds and plus. So we're a seniors kind of organization, and we are basically looking at enticing folks that really have wanted to do it, do woodworking in the past, but gee, never knew where to start, etc. We're also focused on those woodworkers that maybe may not have a space to do woodworking anymore because they sold their house, they moved to an apartment, etc.
You don't have to be an expert at anything. You know, it's progress, not perfection. You know, I think it's really important for people to get it on them, you know, to really try. And there's lots of people around to be able to help and to receive help from other people and to give help to other people. So it's a real collaborative kind of approach. So I think that's really important, yeah.
We're learning from each other, which is really, really great. And it's part of one of our goals is for seniors to learn from others at the same time.
That's awesome. I would like to be part of a woodworking club, just saying.
Well, this one's 55 plus, and you don't have to be good with tools.
Maybe I could sneak in there.
Yeah, no, you couldn't. It's in New Brunswick, too. I'll have to alert people I know who are in that age group.
Dream big, right? Dream big.
Back in a sec. The United States and China began diplomatic meetings in Alaska today, but Canada feels caught in the middle as the two Canadian men detained by China are set for trial.
As David Cochran reports, many view the arrest of the two Michaels as retaliation for the extradition of Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou.
They've been in Chinese prisons for more than 800 days, and the Chinese government is telling the world it's all legal and proper.
The Chinese judiciary handles cases independently according to law.
That reassurance offers no comfort to Michael Spaver's family, who on the eve of trial issued a statement saying, "We feel it is necessary to speak out and call for his unconditional release. His continued unjust detention depriving him of his liberty is both unfair and unreasonable." That's also the position of top U.S. officials meeting with their Chinese counterparts in Alaska, where things got tense.
We'll also discuss our deep concerns with actions by China, including in Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Taiwan.
The United States itself does not represent international public opinion. And neither does the Western world.
We will always stand up for our principles, for our people, and for our friends.
Those friends include Canada, which hopes U.S. pressure can help secure the release of the Michaels. But with Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou still facing extradition and the U.S. equally dug in, this meeting is unlikely to settle things.
I don't see the U.S. backing away from seeking the extradition of the Huawei CFO, and I don't see the Chinese backing down from holding hostages. So it may come up, but I would not be overly optimistic about the outcome.
There's also little optimism about the outcome of the trial, as conviction rates in China are greater than 99%. The media and the public are banned from the courtroom, and to this point, Canadian government officials are being told they can't attend either. David Cochran, CBC News, Ottawa.
A CBC News team spent the day in a detention camp that's called a hotbed of radicalization.
It is in Kurdish-controlled northeastern Syria, not far from the border with Iraq.
Tens of thousands are housed there, and some are said to be part of ISIS sleeper cells. But as Margaret Evans reports, others just want to go home.
This is where the desperate and the dangerous live, a sprawling prison camp in northern Syria where the jailers warn the embers of the Islamic State still smolder. Jabertsia Mustafa, who manages the camp, says ISIS ideology is spreading across it. It's a threat to everyone, he says. The camp holds some 60,000 people, mainly families of ISIS militants, now either dead, in prison, or at large. Many arrived in 2019 after the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, now guarding the camp, played a key role in defeating the Islamic State territorially. Spokesman Kino Gabriel says ISIS is using the camp to create a state within a state.
Basically, we just moved Al-Baghous, which was the last ISIS stronghold. Before it was defeated, we just moved it to Al-Hol camp.
Dozens of people have been murdered in the camps since the new year, some reportedly for not following ISIS edicts. Iraqis and Syrians make up most of the population, but there are other nationalities too, the ones Syrian Kurds are begging their governments to take home.
Hello, where are you from? Russia. Russia. Yeah. Do you think your government should come and take you home? Do you want to go back to Russia?
No, she tells us. She wants to go and live with the family of her husband in Raqqa. This area is called the Annex, the only place we're allowed to enter, and briefly.
There are about 8,000 to 10,000 people in this part of the camps. We're actually seeing the kids are starting to throw stones at us, and they're using slingshots. We're not particularly welcome here, but these are kids, of course. And we're going to move back actually right now just because they've got some pretty good aim.
And they already know the odds are stacked against them. The generation camp workers warn are in danger of radicalization. There were some smiles today. 3,000 Syrians on their way home.
How do you feel?
I'm so happy because I'm going back to my home.
Did you have to say you are no longer a member of the Islamic State?
يعني قلت لهم انه انت مو عضو بالدولة الإسلامية. Yeah, we have nothing with it.
They were released as part of an agreement with tribal leaders willing to vouch for them. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Al-Hol, Syria.
A new law expanding Canadians' access to medical assistance in dying is now in effect. A Quebec judge had given the government until next Friday to pass changes to the law that first took effect in 2016. The Senate has passed a revised version of Bill C-7, and it received royal assent last night. The law now offers access to medical assistance in dying for people who are said to be suffering intolerably but not approaching the natural end of their lives. Canadians with grievous and incurable mental illnesses will also be able to request assistance, but not for another 2 years. An independent panel is reviewing the issue.
An Alberta man charged with first-degree murder made a court appearance by video today. 19-year-old Dylan Puntney is accused of killing 17-year-old Jennifer Winkler on Monday after an attack at her high school in Leduc near Edmonton. She later died in hospital. The Crown says it intends to call at least 11 witnesses. The accused is asking for legal aid to find a lawyer. The case is expected to be back in court April 1st.
Why is romaine lettuce so often recalled? After the break, meet a Richmond boy whose life was forever changed after eating a simple salad.
Located on Burrard Inlet with direct access to SkyTrain and the rest of Expo, the Canadian Pavilion should be breathtaking. There'll be enough going on under the sails to keep the average fairgoer busy for days. They showed us the scale model first, just to give us an idea of how immense the project is. You have to take it a little bit at a time.
But let's have a look in person. This is the first room that people will see. It's sort of a transition area, and they call it the Goose and Beaver. What's that? Let's find out.
I think people will laugh in here, and I think they'll have a good time, and perhaps there'll be thought-provoking things as well. And it's the last room with a lot of color that they'll be in until they get into the Great Hall. So it's a transition from the outside, from all the sails and the sunlight and the clouds and the blue sky into our swamp, which we call it here. It's sort of like a designer's swamp.
Next to the swamp are 3 introductory theaters. They're not finished yet, but when the fair opens, patrons will be able to see a stunning array of audio and visual presentations.
This must be the Great Hall, right underneath the sails of Canada Place. What a magnificent structure. And here they tell us we'll see playful and serious depictions of transportation and communications. So let's not tarry, let's have a look.
It's hard to know where to start. More than 20 Canadian artists have been specially commissioned to grace the Great Hall with their works. Such things as perpetual motion machines festoon the huge room. The whimsical, historical, and mythological creations of such artists as Stephen Denslow and Alex Wise. There's the Raven made by artist Bo Dick of Alert Bay, with a beak that opens up to 18 feet. Another artist, John Watts, intrigued by the idea of machines as sculptures, has fashioned mobile birds, 3 feet from wingtip to wingtip. You can almost hear them squawking. And with seagulls, you have to have a boat for them to follow. This metal sculpture by Richard Prince, or perhaps the magnificent 77-year-old Haida war canoe, the centerpiece of the Great Hall, under wraps until opening day. Every nook and cranny of the hall will have individual displays, ranging from ancient to futuristic. The hands of time will be here to lead you on to walk the floors and walls of your mind in a neon energy outburst that says a lot about Expo. There'll be food fairs and stage shows in this big room, from Baroque to Dixieland. Beneath the floor, the CBC News Center broadcasting daily from the fair.
Here are some of the stories we're following tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
While many of us have been able to work remotely or from home, they have gone to work day after day, day after day, and they are the true heroes that we want to immunize at this time.
More than 300,000 frontline workers, including teachers, childcare workers, grocery store staff, and first responders, will be eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine next month. They'll get the AstraZeneca vaccine.
We're thankfully being able to accelerate our program of protecting those most at risk.
And most people in BC now likely to get the shot earlier than expected. The new timeline shows everyone aged 18 to 59 should have their first dose of the vaccine by the end of June. Dr. Bonnie Henry also says there will be very little change in terms of COVID restrictions in the next 2 months. Well, food recalls seem all too common these days, especially when it comes to romaine lettuce tainted with E. coli.
A Richmond family knows this all too well after their son's life was changed forever after eating a contaminated salad.
Asha Tomlinson and our marketplace team are digging up why these outbreaks keep happening despite many federal promises of action.
Lucas Parker was a healthy boy for his first few years, but a trip to California and a Caesar salad changed everything. Today, 4-year-old Lucas can't walk, he can't talk, he can't see.
It's amazing to think that in a first world country, people could serve you a romaine lettuce salad that would bring on such sickness.
Lucas ate romaine lettuce contaminated with E. coli. It shut down his kidneys and led to 2 brain injuries. Bill Marler represents Lucas and his family.
The E. coli outbreaks linked to romaine lettuce and other leafy greens blew up in the last decade and a half because we wanted bagged salads. That's the cause of the problem. It's industrialized agriculture, convenience, and it's killing us.
Much of our romaine lettuce comes from Arizona and California, and there have been at least 5 outbreaks in 3 years between the 2 states, involving a strain known as 0157H7. But where is the E. coli coming from? Some say it's a mystery. Others say it's in part because of scenes like this. Feedlots with thousands of cows, next to an irrigation canal, next to lettuce fields.
And when you have cows near a product that is ready to eat, you got a problem. I'm surprised that the Canadians still allow U.S. romaine lettuce across the border.
Canada's Food Inspection Agency took steps to improve safety last fall. Importers had to show their lettuce was either free of E. coli or did not come from California's Salinas Valley. But those measures have since expired. The CFIA says it will reassess its rules later this year.
Moved his eyes.
Not much comfort for the Parker family.
People say to eat healthy, and then, this is what happens.
Asha Tomlinson, CBC News, Toronto.
Catch that full investigation along with a look into the rise of overseas phone scams during the pandemic tomorrow. That's Friday on Marketplace at 8 on CBC TV, or you can stream it on CBC Gem.
Well, Buttergate continues. After the break, more answers from an exclusive lab test looking at why the texture of butter has changed.
And at 6:38, a live look at the Port of Vancouver. As expected, the rain has arrived on the south coast, and it's not leaving anytime soon. Nick has the details coming up.
I've created a collaboration gift box with a group of my indigenous women and entrepreneur friends. I'm an Algonquin Métis from Quebec, and I moved to Alberta to find work. I'm grateful to be on Treaty 7 land. When the pandemic hit last year, a lot of artists and musicians And entrepreneurs struggled a lot because most of us, how we sell our products is going to powwows, going to markets. And so when the pandemic hit, all of that got canceled. We struggled a lot, not just with not being able to sell as many products, but also with the not being around people, not being able to do collaborations as much. This year, I was invited by the Alberta Women Entrepreneurs to join a pilot program. It was a program to help women entrepreneurs with their digital platforms. And one of the recommendations they had was to develop a subscription product. And I thought to myself, how on earth am I going to do that? Because I only have a few coloring books and a journal and a couple notebooks. But then I thought, well, maybe I should do a subscription gift box and collaborate with other people. The Equinox box concept, it was stressing me out to do a monthly box because it's quite a lot of work to assemble these. But I thought it's also in line with indigenous teachings of the importance of the change of the seasons, and the solstice and the equinox are important times of year for us. The purpose behind the Equinox box is to help people to do better self-care from an indigenous perspective. It doesn't matter if you're indigenous or non-indigenous, it's for everyone. The box includes a journal, it includes some bath products, some skin products, includes some music, and it includes some art. It includes art cards. We encourage the people receiving the boxes to write gratitude messages in them and send them out to their friends and family as a way to uplift themselves and uplift their friends and family as well. They're also excited, they're also grateful to be in the box. I think part of it is they just want to be part of a community effort, and also they want to collaborate in bringing some joy and some relief to people. And they're also grateful because it's it's a way for them to market their products, and there's someone helping them to promote them. As small business people, we're doing it all by ourselves, and there's no one really helping us to get our name out there. So I think for them that meant a lot to be part of this. Right now, all the collaborators for the box are Albertan, but eventually I will be collaborating with also companies from outside of Alberta. So there will be a mix of different people collaborating in each of the boxes. I think there's definitely enough entrepreneurs, artists, musicians, and other indigenous entrepreneurs and producers to continue this box long term and continue helping people with their healing and with their self-care.
Well, butter may indeed not be as soft as it once was, and the pandemic may have impacted it.
For weeks, there's been speculation about whether what cows are fed has influenced the texture of our butter.
As David Common reports, tonight we can offer some answers from an exclusive lab test.
Most cows don't end up with their own promotional video, but the test results show their milk churns out butter much softer than many other popular brands in Ontario. Their farm, one of the very few to be certified as primarily grass-fed. What cows eat has been a hot topic. Is palmitic acid derived from palm oil and added for decades to cow feed to boost milk production and fat content actually making butter harder? The answer, after testing 17 sample brands, is yes, it is a factor, but far from the only one. Professor Alejandro Marangoni did find that palmitic levels are higher than they've been in some past records.
My question is, why has that composition changed?
So, if it's not palmitic acid causing hardness, what is? Well, many food scientists are eyeing a 12% jump in demand over the pandemic, which may prompt butter makers to speed manufacturing. And that would harden butter.
They're actually going to have to do things in the processing that's actually going to have an impact on the quality of the butter.
A surge in robotic milking may also make the end product harder because fats don't have as much time to form in the udder. None of this answers the question about whether cows should be eating palm oil, a now long-standing practice at many farms. But it is something the country's powerful dairy industry is now suggesting farmers change, at least for the time being. David Coleman, CBC News, Guelph, Ontario.
Show's off tonight. Nick Czernkovich is here with the forecast. Nick, yes, the rain did return certainly today, but it's actually been pretty dry, I guess, for us here on the coast. But there are signs that that's going to change in the near future.
Yeah, I guess all good things can have to come to an end, I suppose, at some point. You know what? It got me thinking about how much rain Vancouver had seen because, I mean, having done the forecast over the last couple of weeks, I was looking at it and really didn't see a lot compared to the sort of monthly normals for March. And so when you dig into the numbers, now bear in mind, this is from Vancouver International Airport. Unfortunately, there are dozens of stations around, but very few of them actually report rain. So when you look at these numbers, it might not be representative of your neighborhood, but Vancouver International Airport is the one that we've got. And up till yesterday, only seen 12.1 millimeters of rain. Now that takes us through the halfway point of the month. The average for the entire month of March, about 112 millimeters of rain. So how do we stand as we move through the next few days? Well, this is what the rainfall forecast looks like. As we come up through tomorrow, we're looking at about 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. Mind you, if you get hit by a thunderstorm, it's going to be locally heavier amounts. Less than 5 on Saturday. Sunday looks to be more of a rainy event, and then a couple days of no rain or just a little bit of rain, and then Wednesday looks to be the next rain event, and that takes us pretty close to the end of the month. So we'll have to see as we get into next week, but it might actually end up being, on average, a drier month than usual. Right now, still looking at a few showers across the region, although it has started to clear out of the Vancouver area. Still some more showers pushing through, though, and we're going to see that into the evening hours tonight. So we head through tomorrow morning, still the chance of seeing a few showers, but I think through the overnight it's going to dry up. The risk in the morning, and then more so what we're watching is as a front moves through, we could trigger off some thunderstorms through the afternoon. We're seeing that in this system. There is some instability in the air. So for tomorrow afternoon, again, the risk of seeing some isolated thunderstorms, certainly some showers. Same story into tomorrow night into Saturday, and then Saturday might even see a sunny break in there, but by and large just cloud cover. And then Sunday, another round of rainfall moves through, and this is going to be more steady rainfall and in the neighborhood of about 15 to 25 millimeters. Tomorrow about 5 to 10, then a bit of a break, about 15 to 25 millimeters as we head through Sunday. Winds will also be a factor. Tomorrow morning, wind gusts up to about 50 kilometers per hour, perhaps even more because they're out of the southeast funneling up the Strait of Georgia. Bit of a break on Saturday, and then more in the way of winds on Sunday. So some breezy weather in the forecast as we head through the next couple of days. Here is the look the next 5 days. So windy weather tomorrow, some showers, a few showers on Saturday, more in the way in rainfall on Sunday, bit of a break on Monday, and then more in the way of rain Tuesday through Wednesday.
That's the way it goes, the weekend rain. Thanks,
yes,
Nick.
Exactly.
Well, the federal government has pledged that every eligible Canadian adult who wants a COVID-19 vaccine will have at least one dose by Canada Day.
That's a big promise, and hitting that target means vaccine delivery is going to have to speed up considerably.
David Cochran now to show us how the process is working so far.
It's just before dawn on the tarmac at Pearson Airport, and FedEx has just delivered 466,000 doses of the Moderna vaccine. The rookie cabinet minister leading Canada's vaccine procurement effort is here to greet them.
What we're seeing is that the provinces and territories are telling us that they are ready, they want more vaccine, and that's exactly what we as a federal government are aiming to do.
Deliveries are starting to ramp up after a sluggish start that saw Canada plunge in the global vaccine rankings, creating enormous pressure to deliver.
This is the most important thing I have ever done, and it is my sole focus all day and all night, and will be until we have enough vaccines in this country for every single Canadian.
Getting vaccines into the country is one challenge. Getting them into people's arms is another.
You arrive here, this is where people enter, then they'll go to the registration. So this site and the 7 other sites, we're estimating between 1,200 and 1,400 people a day we should be able to vaccinate.
Anthony DeMonte is in charge of the vaccine rollout for the city of Ottawa. This is one of the 7 hockey rinks or community centers he's prepped for vaccinations, with even more in reserve.
Right now the plan is from 8 in the morning till 10 at night, but we could do 24/7. We just don't know for 24/7 if there will be demand of it. I don't know how practical it is to come at 2 in the morning.
I'd come at 2 in the morning. I'd come at 3 in the morning. I'd bring my kids if that's what it took. What would it take for you to make that jump? I mean, do you have the human resources to be able to go 24/7? Is it just a question of supply?
Yeah, so it's a question of supply.
Supply remains the central question, especially with every province now promising every eligible person a single dose by Canada Day. It's what the Prime Minister calls the big lift, and if you do the math, you can see why. If you give credit for the 8 million doses the country will receive by the end of March, that still leaves 23 million Canadians who need to be vaccinated between April and June. That's 255,000 people a day, 7 days a week from April 1st to Canada Day.
What keeps you up at night as you prepare this?
You know, we're in a situation now because there's not enough product and people want it, and we want to protect our community as quickly as possible.
Meaning DeMonte can't deliver until Anand does.
Being here and seeing the doses coming off the plane means that it is going to happen. Doses are going into arms in the very near term.
The European Union has imposed export controls. It can block exports if European demand isn't met. This Moderna shipment started in Madrid, then routed through Paris, then Indianapolis, before getting here.
How certain are you that we're going to be okay as a country in terms of supply from this point on?
I spend every day looking at delivery schedules for this very reason, and we've got to make sure that Canada's supply chain is protected.
When do you think you'll finally be able to sleep at night?
I think probably summertime, end of summer. I'll be back to regular sleeping hours.
Until then, the big lift remains her biggest challenge. David Cochran, CBC News, Mississauga, Ontario.
Up next, wishing well to a familiar face here at CBC News. We bid farewell to our Tina Lovegreen. Stay with us.
Tucked behind his camera in the corner of the rink at Rogers Place, Phil LaPlante has seen 132 hockey games since July 28th. When officials approached him about being part of the experimental playoff bubble last year, he didn't hesitate.
I knew going in that was going to be a kind of a long process, but no one had a clue what was going to happen.
LaPlante has worked in hockey broadcasting for over 25 years. The work inside the bubble was much the same, except there were often multiple games a day. Without spectators, the NHL asked broadcasters to get creative.
Take risks, do whatever you can. And there's some stuff that I was able to do that I'm never able to do.
LaPlante admits there were some tough times too. Long periods of isolation combined with daily COVID testing, high fences and constant security all took a toll.
I felt so depressed. And I just sat there. I remember just sitting there drinking a coffee outside. It was a beautiful day. And I just could not stop weeping.
Despite that, one of his best memories was the night of the Stanley Cup final after the Lightning won the cup.
We look up on the balcony of the JW, and one of the players is standing out there holding up the Stanley Cup. And we're the only fans in the entire planet to be able to go, yeah, like we're cheering him on.
That led to a unique photo session in a hotel room, just LaPlante and the newly crowned champs.
To be there and to hold the Stanley Cup next to Steve Stamkos and get a picture of it would have never, ever, ever happened unless it was a COVID year.
All told, LaPlante spent roughly 3 months inside the bubble, just minutes away from his own loved ones. But he has no regrets.
It was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my career.
And given the choice, he says he'd do it all over again. Alicia Asquith, CBC News, Edmonton.
That's who I was known as, W31250. I was never
known as Bill Nasagalava. I was known as W31258 according to our government. It's a system the government put on us. They dog-tagged us. We were faceless. Just a number. To me, it's a total mistake by our federal government. Not just a mistake, it's another mistake. W means the Western Arctic. 3 is our region of the Inuit. And the number 1258 is our 1,258 person. W31258. It's not a happy story, but it's still a story that needs to be told. Atega Bill Naskalwak. Idevalu yunga. Duktuyak to miu yunga.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox. Join CBC Vancouver's Gloria Makarenko at 2 upcoming events. Don't miss West Coast Leafs Breakfast for Dinner, a unique virtual celebration on March 24th. Enjoy a joyous and thought-provoking evening, all for a great cause. And on April 25th, enjoy the beautiful art of food at Vancouver Cherry Blossom Festival's Sakura at Home fundraiser. Visit vcbf.ca for tickets and more information.
Well, a 10-year-old Saskatchewan girl is among the top 5 winners of a worldwide drawing competition for IKEA.
And now her adorable sketches are going to be turned into stuffed toys, known as stuffies, by the Swedish furniture and housewares giant.
Shoppers will be able to buy the plush critters with proceeds going to children's charities.
Mom found it online and she helped me submit a drawing. I get emails from IKEA through their IKEA family membership, and Audrey did her drawing just the one time, and she was set on it and said it was ready. And I don't even think I had finished reading through the entry requirements, and she was already done and ready to send it. Well, they're little peanut butter and jelly friends. They're little slices of bread. They have legs and arms, and they're holding hands. Well, I wanted to make a friend stuffy, and peanut butter and jelly just seemed like the perfect thing.
It made sense coming from Audrey because that's her favorite sandwich. She would probably eat that every day if I let her.
Super surprised and happy. When I won the Canada level, I got to donate $100 to a charity of my choice, and I was going to get a free stuffy.
So as a Canadian finalist, she got to donate $100 to a charity of her choice, and she chose Ronald McDonald House here in Saskatoon.
Now that I've won the whole entire thing, I'm going to get my drawing made into a stuffy to be sold in an IKEA.
One of the global winners, the proceeds from the sales of the stuffies will go to children's charities. So we're really proud that that's how it's going to work out. And yeah, I just think it's wonderful.
It is. Good initiative, for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is a bittersweet day for us here at CBC Vancouver. We say goodbye to a beloved member of this newsroom.
Our Tina Lovegreen is leaving for a new opportunity, and today was her last day. So to end our show, we're taking a look back at our time with the team.
For now, one-on-one training is fine until the new guidelines kick in. Who else is there? Are you hurt? Calling for backup, an ambulance? Just shot. We've got someone shot. Hey, I need an ambulance over here. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Somewhere in this garden, the suspect is still on the loose.
Apparently, overnight, the otter crept into one of the traps, stole the bait, and slipped away.
The koi are back in town, the koi are back in town.
Regardless of your faith, diversity is our strength. And now that is the first time that
All right, rolling.
I can see you're not rolling.
I am rolling.
There's no red light on.
I turned it off.
Still Creek behind me here has overflown into the McDonald's parking lot.
A community in shock has come together to comfort Davidson's wife, 3 grown children, and a devastated police force.
John died doing what we asked him to do.
Tina Lovegreen, CBC News, Vancouver.
A hard goodbye to Tina today. There were a few tears, but Tina's a reporter who hustles. She's a caring storyteller. You will be missed, and good luck on the new adventure.
This is outrageous, actually. It shouldn't be allowed. I'm filing a protest. No, in all seriousness, we're having a huge void without her here. But Tina, all the best to you. We miss you already. I guess we need a new Chinatown Otter reporter, right?
You can always put your name in the hat, Mike.
Maybe I will. Okay, that's it for us.
It, yeah.
Dan's here at 11 after the National.
Good night.
Good night.